Doreen Granpeesheh is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
We have another question. Isn't there a book, website, YouTube video where someone can explain things clearly? It seems like social skills is a magic thing that people mention but never talk clearly about. Well, I guess, you know, some of these things are hard because it's like, how much detail can you go into?
Yeah.
But there are all kinds of things we've done so many videos on individual skills having to do with social skills. Like social skills is so big.
Yeah.
I would want to know, what is it first that you want to start with, or ask you, depending on the age of the child, there's got to be like a thing that you start with, and then there's probably a video that we've done to explain how to teach that social skill, and then you build on from that.
So I look at social skills just like any other skill that needs to be taught, and it really is, I completely understand though what this parent is saying, because there are so many different factors, variables that come into play also with social skills, with anything. I will be looking at a completely different set of social skills if it's one type of child versus another type. So it's not just the age.
Yeah.
The age matters because they're different. You know, you have a completely different set of social skills at age 3 than you do at age 7, right? And then it also has to do with the functioning level of the child, because you might have a child who is, like I said, very inattentive and not even aware of others in the room, much less wanting to take turns and play with them. Or you might have a child who is extremely interested in the others, just doesn't know how to. You might have a nonverbal child or is just significantly delayed in language. So it's going to be very different, right? And like anything else, I think the best advice for parents is to list what you, actually, let me take that back, because I think it's hard for parents to list the things that they feel are behind. It's hard because you don't have a comparison. That is exactly why we wrote Skills, right, which was the platform. Here's what you should do. You should look online, this is the easiest way to go, and look at developmental tests like the Brigance. This is BRIGANCE, very easy to do this. And that test lists by every 6 months the type of skills that should be developing. Now, you look at your child, and let's say your child is 4 years old, that's 48 months, so you go back and you look at, okay, what was the child at 6 months of age supposed to be doing? Is my child doing all of those? Check, 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 check. Now I'm going to look at the 1-year-old, check, 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 2-year-old, and so on. And whatever is lacking, whether it's social, adaptive, I don't know, language, motor, you name it, those are the things that you want to focus on teaching. So now you know that, let's say you have to teach, your child is not conversing with other children. Let's start there. Let's say that is the milestone that you're trying to go towards. This is where it becomes really important now to go to a autism curriculum like Skills, or there's Rethink, and these curricula will kind of help you understand all the different steps that go to that larger milestone. So talking with other children, for example, involves a lot of prerequisites. It involves, first of all, being able to talk about things. That in itself is a big skill, because some of our kids can talk, but they can express their needs, or they can describe an object that's in front of them, but they don't know how to talk about things that are not necessarily present. So that's a task. That's a series of lessons that get to this particular lesson, which is Tell Me About, right? And that is something they must have mastered. Another thing they must have mastered, obviously, is being able to stand in an appropriate position with other kids. Some of our kids are too close, others are too far, some are leaning on our kid, or not, the social non-verbal cues have to be there. So eye contact, and being able to listen and receive information from others. All of these are individual tasks. And then, of course, being able to do that, let's say, in a group, which is a big deal. It's completely different than being able to listen to one other person. Turn taking, right? Receiving that information and being able to talk about it. Saying I just wrote a program for someone, is, being able to make statements that are of similar form, or being able to ask questions about a statement that was just made. Yeah. All of these things go in to just conversation. And then when you're talking about social conversation, there's a lot of other nuances that are individual lessons, like, do I know these people? Are they my peers?
Yes.
Are they friends of my parent? Are they authority figures? And our behavior changes completely based on that. I'm not going to talk to my best friend the same way I talk to a teacher, right? So that has to come in. The context, the location. So am I in a classroom where I'm not even supposed to be talking, or in a library where I have to keep my voice down, or in a noisy place where I have to yell a little bit, or, all of these types of things come in. And so I think it's really important. I completely agree. It is hard. A website that does exist is Skills for Autism, and if you go in there, we try to individualize things as much as possible. So you would answer questions about your child. That would take you to specific lessons, and that would help identify exactly how to go about it.
And I love everything that you said, and I didn't want to interrupt you because it was good information, but now we have more information that this is the adult asking for themselves.
I see.
And they're saying, I want a secret to know how to get behind different paywalls. I just desperately want to learn how I can make a connection with someone.
Yes, absolutely. And to some extent, the same stuff is true that I just said. You kind of have to start by making a list of the things that are hard, right? For you, perhaps. Like I have a hard time, start practicing these things. Can you listen to someone and then go back to a quiet place and write out what they said?
Yeah.
By listening, are you hearing them? And if you're able to write it out, can you then ask questions about those things? This is the beginning of exchange of communication. Yeah. The biggest thing that I find our adults tell me, and by the way, if you can't yourself figure out what the areas of difficulty are, ask people. They will tell, ask them, what is it that you see I'm having a hard time doing in our conversations, and they can help you as well. But the biggest thing I'll tell you that I hear from adults is the difficulty they experience is with being able to take the perspective of someone else. And in conversation and in interaction, any kind of social interaction, neurotypical people tend to do that a lot. So they take each other's perspective, and they use a lot of tools to take each other's perspective. For instance, they look at body language. Like right now that I'm talking, you can see Shannon is nodding her head. So that means she agrees with me, which then encourages me to keep going. If she was to go like this, I'd be like, okay, maybe she's either disagreeing or there's something else that came to her mind that she wants to say, so I would pause. So these are nuances that we learn, and we start to automatically think from someone else's perspective. If you can do more of that, I promise you it will help you connect with other people. So when something happens, try to think, this is how I feel about it. I wonder how this person feels about it, and come up with an idea, and then ask them, like, we just had a very busy traffic or situation. Are you feeling frustrated? How are you feeling about it? Start asking people, learn about their feelings in different scenarios. And that will really start to help you understand, to see the world from their perspective. Once you're able to do that, it helps with connection, with communication, and so on. Now, there are, in my mind, Shannon, not enough places for adults to practice this type of thing. There's just not enough services for adults. Sometimes it helps if you can find other individuals who are also on the spectrum, and you will find that you're more forgiving towards each other and can bond and produce connections. And when there are two of you, you both become kind of stronger and braver in regards to approaching social situations. That helps. Community events or getting engaged in activities that you like will always help, whether it's anything, you know, robotics to sewing to carpentry to painting, coloring, you know, whatever it might be that interests you. Those types of situations will help promote social behavior.
There are a lot of organizations too. Sometimes now they're forming at work that they will have a group, a diversity group that includes a lot of people on the spectrum. That's something you can look at if you're employed. There are everything from, at the Ed Asner Center, they do something called Movie Chat. That is led by other individuals who are on the spectrum. There's a movie picked every week, and at the beginning of the movie chat, they start discussing the movie, but then it evolves into just having discussions, and it's online, and it's free so that you can do that. There are coaches now who are social skills coaches. Some of them are clinical psychologists who help people with these kinds of things, but there are also a growing number of adults on the spectrum who have figured some stuff out. Who, like, and I can tell you, Daniel Wexler, amazing, Dr. 𝗃𝗗𝗓𝗂𝗓, Jennifer O'Toole. These are all adults that are on the spectrum that do this kind of work with people. But there are also really good professionals. I mean, you're not available for this kind of thing, but someone with your types of degrees has been very helpful to people.
Yes, definitely.
Because what you do is you go in and say, here's what happened, and then you have the person translate for you and workshop what you could do in the next time.
That's right.
And kind of, we were talking about the other day about the drop-down menus that you guys used to give me, that if this happens, here are my choices of what I can do. And years ago, we have a friend that I used to say, when are you going to write down? Because she used to just make drop-down menus for people that if you run into your ex at the store and they're with their new boyfriend, here are some things that you can say. And give lists to people. And I was like, why isn't that in a book? You need to put that in a book. So, and I think there are more and more books like that coming out there, but the help is there. There's even an organization for women on the spectrum. There's a couple of them, actually. One that's professional women. They get together in New York City, and then there's another one that's more nationwide that I think it's called Geek Girls.
Nice.
So there are more and more of these things popping up. You got to find your tribe. And there are different, different tribes have different things, right?
Absolutely.
But find your tribe, and there is help and support out there. But if there's a specific thing that you know that you're struggling with, write in and ask us what that is, and we'll be happy to ask Dr. Granpeesheh. Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.